So I know Lady G has been poring over the Epstein files. It's so daunting to me. I don't even know where to begin. Grace Toasty, I don't know if you guys have dipped a toe in.
I've heard of
seen
it.
some of it.
I don't know anything about it.
For me, I was just like, oh, so much of this stuff is stuff I knew about. I feel like 5-6 years ago. I spent the whole beginning of my pandemic deep diving into all this stuff, and then got called a conspiracy theorist for mentioning to anybody. So kind of was like, all right, I guess we're not talking about this for a while. This is a thing we don't talk about because none of us want to get deplatformed or canceled, etc. So you just went quiet about it, and now it's odd to see it kind of in the larger Twitter conversation, at least.
It's not just, it isn't just Twitter. Like my
Is it Blue Sky?
Yeah, it's a different conversation over there though. It's a different approach on Blue Sky, but like this has hit absolutely it's everything everywhere all at once, quite literally. Like it is a bunch of stuff that we already knew but did not have proof. And so you have all these people who are like screaming at the top of their lungs over this, and they've been called crazy. Some of these people have been disappeared, like that, the model back in 2001 or 2009. That was the last public, like no one has seen her since the hotel lobby incident. And so it's all of these things are just like that. The saying does go, if you want to hide something, the best place is in plain sight. And that's essentially what they did.
That's what I do with my keys all the time.
Right? Right? Yeah, but it's guys. So there's thousands of pictures, there's thousands of video clips, there's so many emails, and like the pictures are actually, I'm gonna swear. I'm sorry. I'm so angry about this. Like,
go ahead. I have a censor button. Hold on. Let me find it. Okay, go for it.
They fucking blacked out. Like,
I censored black.
Whoops. But it's just they have quite literally, there are pictures of the documents that are it's all blocked out. It's all black.
What's the point of releasing an all black page? It's like a black square.
There's one file that's 11 pages long, and the entire thing is nothing but black boxes. It's completely redacted.
Do they show anything on the top? Like, what's the like a date or header, an email?
Nope. No header, no like email address, no nothing.
Like when you get a bank statement and it says like this page intentionally blank. It's like, why even send this?
It's well, that's a whole other conspiracy, but the short version is because they get it has to be a certain weight, and then they get so much of a tax write-off for the shipping that they have to send. But that's a whole other conspiracy. That's an entirely different conspiracy. But these Epstein files, I was reading one email that like I actually wanted to, it's probably one of the more tame ones too, and I wanted to vomit. There are pictures that are blocked out, but you can still see naked legs. And some of those are not adult legs.
And
it's pictures, it's a photograph of pictures hanging up in like hallways or bedrooms of Epstein's properties, like in New York and Florida and stuff like that. And some of the artwork, some of the paintings, I refuse to call that shit artwork, but some of those paintings are literal depictions of
like trapping people
rituals.
Up.
So there's one photograph where dove's wings are being snapped and broken, like so the dove can't fly. And I'm not sure how religious you guys are, or how much theology you guys know.
That's very
but
Jesus coded, is it?
Yes,
not?
that was very Holy Spirit coded.
Oh,
so
Holy
basically,
Spirit,
what
of course,
the Holy Spirit cannot enter here is essentially what it's saying. And then you have this individual laying on like this chaise lounge or whatever, and behind this individual there is a serpent looking black like
Speaking of black, Kim
Spectre.
Coulter's here.
I always knew I was black.
We're talking about the Epstein files in case you were in a good mood.
But I mean, as far as like the painting, like all sorts of losers have like satanic stuff hanging up in their house or something. Like I don't think I would like I don't
put 'em in
really
the
care
guest
about
bedroom. They don't.
Well,
usually
the
put 'em in
problem with satanic
mean-
imagery is that sometimes imagery is just imagery and people like to have paintings up in their house, but sometimes you're a child trafficking, pedophilic, satanic, fucking deranged maniac, and that's an act that's a further indicator of that. Again, that's, as you were saying, not true across the board, but I think having this imagery paints adds to the bigger picture, whereas like some weirdo lefty green-haired freak with like "Hail Satan" written on her wall,
yeah,
she's
trying
just
to
fucking
piss off their dad.
This isn't an edgy 17-year-old who's trying to make mom and dad angry. Like, this is, I mean, just like some of this, I mean, you get the Bill Clinton in the dress photograph that everybody, knows about.
Isn't that the Monica Lewinsky dress too?
And that was in Jeffrey's Manhattan apartment.
Yes.
And I have a friend who was in there. He's someone I interviewed recently on my show, and he was starting to become friends with him. He had dinner with him twice. He was in his apartment. I talked about this. It was Jackie Martling, and like and it was just like, oh, like that's Bill Clinton in a dress. Like, does he know does he know about this painting? And Jeffrey was like, yeah, it's not his favorite. So it's like the boldness to have this kind of artwork out. It's like you're really flashing.
Well, and because the thing is, like, sometimes people are just but that's already sort of, I mean, if we want to do red flag, green flag, that's like a screaming neon red flag, in my humble opinion. But then Chrissy, you shared that one, and it's going to take so long to go through stuff and try to find and figure stuff out. But I used to watch Arthur as a kid.
Oh, I can pull that up.
I went back and looked, and I went, holy shit.
That was all right, I have it right here. Thank you for teeing me up.
Yeah.
Disgusting Pizzagate Arthur connection in the Epstein files. The most logical, Leslie Taylor was a children's programming producer from the early 90s into 2013. 3-time Daytime Emmy winner and 2003 BAFTA winner for Arthur. Executive producer for hundreds of episodes of Arthur. Callie Lou, Spider Riders, Postcards from Buster, Mona the Vampire, Richard Scarry, and many others. Ugh. And this is one of the files from Diane. Subject: pizza time. Thank you. We love to have blank with us. He is too cute. Have a great week. XOXO. Thanks for taking the boys to pizza. Blank was sad. He had to leave the fun. Hope you had a great time skiing. Be safe. You got it. Yum. That looks from Leslie Taylor. Yum. That looks good. The boys are really cute too. I just need blank by 4:10. He needs a quick shower, then going to doctor for his annual. And you could argue, well, this seems innocent enough. How do we know that this is about? But like, why are these emails tied up in the Epstein files? And then you have images like this, and you're like, oh.
Well,
it makes you rethink everything.
The problem, I've said this on SimpCast before too. The thing with Pizzagate is that they flooded the Pizzagate information with nonsense, Q-tarded conspiracy stuff, so that when legitimate people were like, "No,
true,
cheese pizza stands for child porn,"
can't take it seriously.
Cheese is this, hot dogs are this. People go, "Oh, okay," and now it's all coming out, and I just want to I've gone from like, oh, I'll wait for my apology, it's never gonna happen, to just like, I just want to fucking strangle you. I've been like, yes, I know Pizzagate was a real thing. I know that the reason that you discredited it was because they intentionally, it's like the Charlie Kirk thing. If you get a million rumors going on at once and they all sound retarded, guess what? Everyone's just gonna go, oh, who cares? This is just conspiracy bullshit.
Yeah, you flood the you flood the system.
But that tweet was kind of like conspiracy bullshit, no?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, that tweet, I don't know, whatever you brought up. I thought you were laughing at it.
My tweet saying that this...
It's not, I mean, it's not your tweet, right? It's someone else.
No, it's hers.
No.
It was mine.
Oh.
I can delete it if you want.
I thought you were making fun of it because the Arthur thing. You were saying that's real, like it's like a way of like letting people know that he was part of it.
I mean,
No, I mean, but the symbology is real.
But,
yeah.
Okay, so if
we know that now we know that there is direct involvement. So like, yeah, like people in entertainment have little nods like that to each other and all kinds of symbolism. So no, it would not be surprising to me, especially now that we know there is direct ties to the Epstein files.
God, there's so much symbolism in the Epstein's God with his domed, like his little like, I don't know.
It's like child sacrifice.
It was like a child sacrifice thing on the island. It was white and blue with like a gold dome, and it was on Ellen's exact set. Like it was almost completely identical. Yeah.
So like there are lots of little nods like that. And I mean, like, think about it. Think about the ones that are blatant. Remember, I've brought this up a bunch of times too. Remember when they did the roast of Justin Bieber? And
God, and that
Kevin Hart kept making
that
references.
Music video where
not only that, but like, I mean, specifically where Kevin Hart looks this young man straight in his face and makes a joke about him being face down in Usher's lap. We know for a fact he was raped by Usher, so they were literally just parading this kid out like, ha ha, fuck you, kid, you got raped. We own your shit. And he had to just sit there the whole time like, this is fine, everything's fine. I hope you guys like decide you don't hate me anymore, because at the time he was just labeled one of the most hated people on the planet.
Wow, yeah, and he was so young. And like, Grace, I absolutely don't expect you to. I mean, this all came out when you were still a teenager, so
no,
like,
I remember it. Yeah,
so much. It's so much here, and unless you were really focused on it, it's
So the thing is, like, they're banking on emotional reaction. So there is a lot of stuff that is factual in there, and there's a lot of stuff. So here's the thing with all of these files. They have been put up with no context. There's no commentary, there's no summary of findings, there's no nothing from any of the intelligence, not from the DOJ, not from the FBI, not from the CIA, not from the White House, the Oval Office. There is no anything. And so it is going to be incredibly important that, one, people do not get overwhelmed by the amount, and two, you don't get hyper emotional. I'm not saying not to be like this. I'm not saying to not have like righteous anger. I'm saying don't become so emotional that we're just like literally like Grace was saying, you just say or do. Whoops, sorry. That's my mom calling, actually.
T-Mobile.
It is T-Mobile. That's my mama calling. But so I'm not saying, to not care or to not, I mean, normal human emotion is going to happen, but you absolutely cannot let that overtake finding the truth, because those are the things they're banking on, that people will become overwhelmed by the amount, or that people will just have emotional reactions. They'll throw a bunch of stuff out there, and then in like 5 or 6 weeks, it'll be like, all of this stuff was meaningless. It's and so now this person is discredited. So like, you have to take a very, you have to take a very measured approach to all of this information. So like, for example, one of the files, it's file number 8529.
Oh, they bring that up.
Yeah, let me just.
It's in dataset 6, and it's file number 8529, and it's just like it's freaking horror. Like, you already know where it's going when they start asking the questions. And they're like, did you interview this person? Yes, we did. Did she tell you approximately how old she was in the photos? And they're like, she was 13. And it went through the rest of these photos. Like, she was 13. And then in this photo, she's 17. And then they're like, what did she tell you why they like, why wasn't she at home? Bad home life. Did she go to school? She started school, but she dropped out. So she needed money, and she was working in catering halls as a waitress in the restaurants and the clubs. And They're
Is she
like
working as a waitress in a cocktail bar, perchance?
possibly. It doesn't. It says she worked in catering halls as a waitress and in restaurants and in clubs.
That much is true.
Yeah. So she met this. So how did she become aware of Jeffrey Epstein? She met a girl named, and then it's redacted, who told her that she could make money if she massaged this rich guy at 13.
Which brings me to this next uncovered piece of Epstein. Actually, they recovered, and this I have shown this on the show before, but since it is pertinent to our conversation, they actually did recover some footage from one of the Epstein recruitment videos.
Oh Lord.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein School of Massage.
I knew it.
You are receiving this video because somebody thinks you would make a great addition to our program. In this video, you'll learn all about the wonderful benefits to being part of our collective. But don't take it from me. Let's hear from some of the girls.
I've been here for 4 years.
I've been here for 2.5 years.
I've been here for 4 years now.
I have been here since my daddy told me to save up for my sweet 16th birthday.
I've always been passionate about massage, releasing pain with my own 2 hands.
Finding specific pressure points and using reflexology has always been fascinating to me.
Oh, I guess that's what some people will call it, massage, but I have carpal tunnel in my wrists, and both my wrists, from doing all my massaging. And my jaw. Too. I was invited to a Clinton Foundation gala.
Chris on a private jet to Africa for an AIDS fundraiser.
Oh, Prince Andrew ate cereal out of my asshole. He's funny. That guy's funny. He ate Cap'n Crunch right out of my butthole, right out of my thing.
The program allowed me to gain valuable part-time work experience while still being able to go to school.
Commuting from home to West Palm Beach was easy. The scheduling was smooth. Wait, what? The other girls got to go home?
So horrible
I
to
could
joke.
finally help my mom with some of the bills.
And I made money for Christmas presents. $200 is $200.
Traveled to New York, Rio, Istanbul, and I flew to South Africa once.
Paris, Milan.
Dubai was incredible.
Uh-oh.
I do believe a witch doctor in Haiti put a spell on my vagina.
Well, there you have it. You're never too young to get a fresh start on a new career. Thanks for watching. Hope to hear from you soon.
Wow.
Chrissy, you knew?
And we made that years ago. We made that, I think, during the pandemic.
I'm calling the FBI.
So anyway, yeah, they unfortunately, it's a horrible thing. They preyed on girls. They could make $200. Just give this guy a massage. And like I was talking to Frank about this, I'm like, certainly not every single person wrapped up in this is like a sick, twisted, satanic, demonic person into all the worst horrors you could think of.
I can actually explain that too.
And
So
I'm
that's
like,
where the black.
that's like, I say, hey, it's a party. Just come to this house party.
Yes.
There's a lot of different.
That's where the
rooms.
blackmail element
And then
comes
there
in.
ends up being like some fucked up shit happening in a couple of rooms, and those rooms have cameras in them. And then like what you just
Yeah,
get,
so
get a
basically,
teenage girl to like seduce. I don't know.
like,
I don't know.
You think
how
of
that,
specifically politicians, scientists, doctors. You get invited
Microsoft
to the big
inventors.
fancy millionaire party. Oh yes, I'd love to fly to your private island. That sounds amazing. There's parties, there's drugs, there's alcohol. You're a little fucked up. Somebody who comes to you and says, hey, there's this really hot babe. She's really into you. She wants to they bring you into a room. You do whatever. Then you get woken up in the morning and they go, by the way, she was 12. We have you on camera and you got to say this or your life
and
is
also
fucked.
she was probably drugged or
Yeah. Well, I mean,
who
all of
knows
that
what
is assumed.
Hot take. Okay, super hot take. The girls who were 15, 16, 17 who were involved in this, it's a little bit their fault. No? I mean,
Okay,
if I'm
Nick
16,
Fuentes.
if I'm 16 years old, well,
Okay,
if I
Nick
wasn't
Fuentes.
16 that long ago, if I'm 16 and someone approaches me and says, "Do you want to give a guy a massage for $200?" I know it's
Okay,
sketchy.
but like
If I
you're
say
not, you're
yes,
obviously not in a place of desperation, which is where they find these girls. They find them in drug addiction, they find them in poverty, they find them in abuse, and they promise
not all of
them.
them.
But no, Grace knows what she like. Grace is
Okay,
like, she's
you
like
want to bet? I would
22
say
years old.
upwards of 90%
Grace
of
is
these
young,
women.
and she was just
And the
this
women
age a
who
couple years
aren't,
ago.
the women who aren't are the predatory ones that they use to sit, that the Chrissy was bringing up before, that go into these places and they go, "Oh girl, you want to make $200? You want to massage Jeffrey Epstein? That's all you have to do. You make good money."
True, I agree. Those girls
So
are
that's what
predatory,
I'm
but
saying, like,
those
there's
girls
the
were
10%,
those girls
there's
were
the
recruited
10%.
originally the same way.
Those are the
so.
10% who are like you're talking about, and I would say that even that's generous. The rest are preyed upon because they are inherently vulnerable. They are untrusted or unwanted by society, and they don't have anyone looking for them.
Like,
But I just think that's a little bit of a misogynistic take, because a poor woman can reject sex work just as much as a rich woman can. Like, I think that's a little misogynistic.
But she's not.
You do need the money worse.
If somebody who is
true,
desperate,
but I just think that's sort of like anti-poor. Like, oh, if you're a poor woman, oh, you just may as well do sex work. Like, we're not going to hold you accountable.
Listen,
it's like, no.
I literally, my second apartment in my life was on Tranny Hooker Corner. My roommate was a professional fucking dominatrix. I know who these women are. I remember them very intimately. Most of them are started in fucked up situations. You want to talk about that? We have Scarlett.
I have no doubt
all the time. So I'm just saying. That is the majority. That is the great majority of women who end up in these situations.
What Grace is saying
fatherless.
Is that these women could think that they're using their free will and agreeing to go to a party, but really they are targeted, manipulated. They are put in a position where like it would be very easy for them to say yes
by drugs
and then feel like, oh, I made this decision on my own.
Did you know there's a powder drug? I'm having a pregnancy brain moment, so I'm forgetting what it's called. There is literally a drug that they can blow into your face that makes you complacent and agreeable. You'll walk somebody to your bank.
Being a woman.
No, it's an actual drug.
I think it's like a Colombian flower or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that sounds right. But no, like you can literally with like a totally straight demeanor, someone will be like, "Hey, you're gonna walk me to your bank and you're gonna empty your savings account into mine," and you won't need to be coerced. You'll just walk along and go along. These are all things that are implemented by these people, by these kinds of people. So again,
I may be wrong. I'm basing it off of, I watched this documentary about it, and there was one of the girls who maybe was 16 or something. She was like a clerk. And so Ghislaine walks into the store she's working at and buys a bunch of stuff off of her, gives her a big commission, right? And then later, like the clerk girl, she's like 17 or something. They end up in a private room with Jeffrey, and there's no gun or anything. There's no drugs. And it's like Jeffrey's try-on thing. And then Ghislaine starts being sexual towards Jeffrey in front of this girl. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, at that point, I just found it interesting about her story. She could have left. Like, there were no chains or guns or anything. But she stayed, and then she participated in the sexual act because she knew there was money involved.
Because this woman already made her how much money already? So she felt like...
Right. So she knew there was money. But, I mean... Is that not her fault?
It is predatory because this woman was like,
it's still incredibly predatory. That's not you have agency over your own decisions. That's absolutely true. People put them in themselves into dangerous situations because of the promise of something better. But that's still predatory behavior. You're still.
But then that girl is taking that risk, and if it doesn't work out, well, she took the risk. True. Like if I was a clerk and someone started being sexual in front of me, I'd be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But if I wanted to stay for money, how is that not my bad?
I think you're willing to put aside and ignore your alarm bells that are going off and like squelch your intuition.
Especially if you're drunk or
high. You're like, oh, I need this money. I shouldn't really this is the most I've made in X amount of months or years. Like, you're willing to let me just see how this goes. Let me just see. It can't if it gets worse.
Oh yeah,
there's literally a whole string of horror movie based off of the idea that like you're gonna come and do these incredibly humiliating and demeaning things because this is the only chance you'll ever have to make this kind of money.
It's true. The biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life, and like oh my God, that would be a whole show in and of itself, were because I was broke and jobless and in a really bad place and like just got out of an abusive relationship and like literally everything was lined up for me to basically start doing sex work essentially. And like I was a sneeze away and I had some like God moments and like just I thank God every day that I didn't end up doing something I would regret for the rest of my life. But it's crazy how quick you can be at that place and how quickly everything can line up. Like looking back, I'd be like, oh my God.
And also the purpose of this isn't really to assign fault. Like, yes, you can do shit, you can make shitty decisions that get you into bad situations. But the fact of the matter is, especially like, 16, 17, it's fucking naive to say like, oh yeah, they're like at peak decision making. Like it's not, you're not fully developed in your brain. You're not fully developed in yourself.
I'm coming at this from a pro-woman point of view.
Unstable environment, people who grew up without the stability around them, without the ability to like actually be safe in their environment, who always grew up with like heightened stress, heightened pressure, that leads to continued irrational decision making. Like
I know, but there's a reason that some poor women go work at McDonald's and some poor women do sex work.
Yeah,
because they're not attractive.
Not necessarily. Not plenty of people who come from crackhead families go work at McDonald's. No, I'm saying poor women. I'm not talking about attractive or not. I'm just saying like
poor.
Okay, but those poor women also have good role models. They have stable foundations. They have people.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay. There are plenty of attractive people who grow up in bad situations.
The poor people who end up in this situation more often than not had a stable home life. That's just not. That's not debatable.
I'm saying that you could have a poor woman who comes from an unstable family. And you could have two of them. One of them goes to work at McDonald's. One of them goes and does sex work. I just don't believe in infantilizing women and saying, well, you're not responsible for your decisions because of your upbringing, because of your wealth, etc. Because poor women are just as capable of making good decisions as rich women. So I just think it's kind of.
I mean, like, I understand.
Well, first I'm Nick Fuentes, and then I'm Joe Biden. I'm coming at it from a pro-female place.
You quoted Nick first, and then you quoted Joe Biden. So I was just making a joke.
I think what Grace is saying is that
I didn't quote Joe Biden.
Women just because they're poor. It's not that they.
I didn't say that they weren't accountable for their actions because they're poor. I said that the circumstances of their life often lead to making decisions out of desperation because you're in a situation of desperation. That's why often women who are targeted, they're not necessarily poor, but they're otherwise easily victimized. They're otherwise people who are extremely vulnerable because they have absence of true role models in their life. They have absence of true people who can advocate for them or who they can go to in a case of emergency. So they end up picking the wrong people, making the wrong decisions, again, out of desperation. And that's not to say that they're not responsible. It's not to say they don't have agency, but they're these are the women that are far more likely to end up in these predicaments.
Right.
And
I don't disagree. Why would a rich girl do this? She has money. Yeah, no, I agree.
Kim
obviously.
is looking at this from a very motherly, like, older than you perspective, Grace. Like, hey, now that I have this time and wisdom, I see all these things that went into this. And where Grace, you're kind of you're coming from this place of like, why can't we this woman who made these bad choices have like radical acceptance over her choices, right? Like just because she's poor doesn't mean like, oh, I can't make my own choices. And like, and Kim is able to zoom out and be like, yes, she made these choices willingly, but here is what went into it. Like, yes, the tree grew. It's like, you know what I mean? Like in biology class or whatever, where you grow a plant and then you put blue dye in it and the tree still grows, but it's got like blue growing into the leaves and shit.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You're like, oh, that tree.
I completely agree.
And also, there are
family
plenty of
upbringing
rich
determines
women.
so much about your life. Absolutely.
There's well-off women who, and I mean, I had problems with people like this when I was growing up in New York. People who legitimately had like everything you could ever want in life. They've never needed anything. They've never actually like wondered where their next meal was coming from, and they would like voluntarily make themselves homeless because they would rather do drugs and party. And those are the kinds those are another kind of person who they're not considered dependable, and they're not considered to be reliable. So because of those things, when something this happened to me, I was like, I had an estranged relationship with my parents. I was targeted by a therapist. My therapist, he asked me to run away with him when I was 19 years old.
What?
And
That's hot.
I told him no. I wasn't like, I've never been like
That's
that.
insane.
And I had the agency to say no. I didn't even go to my parents. I wasn't even going to tell them because I knew they wouldn't believe me. But he preemptively, while he had been buying drugs from my friends and doing all sorts of other shit, decided instead of letting me go tell him, he was like, oh, suddenly he decided to report to my parents. She's a drug addict. She can't be trusted. Da 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 da. So if I did then try to say, okay, but like, he wanted to fuck me, so he tried to get me to run away with him over Christmas because, quote, we both didn't have family. Now,
Yes.
So
The
I'm just saying,
romance.
there's millions of scenarios like that where it's like, yeah, should I have been accepting $20 a week from my therapist to sit in on group therapy so I could go cop some weed? No, that was probably a really retarded idea. But he was preying on me. He was using me in order to fill his group. And he was tempting me with the idea of getting free weed.
Wow.
And then on top of that, he was like, once he finally got me to the point where I was like doing these things, he was like, oh, well, like, surely she'll fuck me.
It's like at the end of the day, it's Epstein and Ghislaine knew what kind of girls would say yes to this stuff. And
well,
it's, like,
it's not only that, but like what kind of girls would feel like they have no other choice. So like, there are girls who like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, could you get up and get out of the room? Yeah, that's true. But what are you leaving to? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Do you have a place to go to? Like, is it
and they would
literally
say, hey,
this
I'm going
or
to kill
the...
you and your whole family. If
And
you
then
know
there's the
anybody.
other side of narcissistic that I mentioned, where it's like they have all that, they have the family, they have the friends, but they love getting high, so much so that they would rather fuck this old dude and live in a mansion where like these girls are getting raped instead of going out and revisiting reality. It's deeply fucked up, but like there is a spectrum here.
I mean, if you're
Was
gonna
the
do
therapist
drugs
hot?
anywhere-
Wait. Can you rate the
No,
therapist
he wasn't
out of
even
10?
hot, dude. And like, I mean, I wouldn't have fucked him either way because.
So you
I
should have
might
turned the tables on him. You could have taken him for millions.
I wasn't
No?
honestly. I was so deeply disgusted
you know how
that
to do
this
that.
was
Yeah,
this
most
was
people
the
don't
kind
know
of
actually
like.
how to-
Accuse him
I
of
had
sexual
actually
abuse of a patient. That's
All right.
easy
Well,
money, no?
I mean, I didn't give a shit
It
about
is
the
now.
weed stuff. The weed stuff wasn't a red flag to me. It like I was still trusting in this person with like personal stuff. So it deeply fucked with my head when he was like, "Oh, well, like we should fuck." I was like, "Oh, that's literally been it this whole time." You like, it's not that you were just pretending. You literally just wanted to get into my pants. So it was like, okay.
I'll address the super chat really quick before it's irrelevant. From Gog and Girl, thanks for the 5. Poors are poor because they make bad decisions. Work is just another bad decision. Oh, S work. Kim is making excuses for people who already make bad decisions.
Well, as sex work
I'm
certainly
really
is,
not,
but poor people aren't poor necessarily because they make bad decisions.
Also, a 16-year-old isn't poor because they made bad decisions. You
Yeah,
know?
but
Like,
children are
that's
poor people,
fucking-
yeah.
That's
True.
nonsense.
True.
So,
Hold on, let me
first of
get
all,
these. Let
we're
me get
gonna-
these 2 out of the way really quick. Russell Hall for 5. You see these girls start off innocent, then people start sending them costumes to wear. Next thing you know, 7 years later, bam, wearing a thong online. Thank you, Russell, I guess. And K-Max for 10. If Chrissy could set up her own modern day debate show, would it involve Grace and Kim on this Epstein topic? This debate has been a SimpCast best of moment. Woo! Thank you, K-Max.
So the thing is, like, if you take, we're gonna just like put the Epstein files over to, like, we're gonna set them over in their own pile over here for just 1 second, because we have had over the past decade and a half, we have had Hollywood actors and actresses. The Me Too movement was a huge mask off moment. It was massive.
Oh, yeah.
It showed so many colors, and that is outside. It involves the same people, but that's outside of anything that we found or that has been released with the Epstein files. Okay, so when Me Too happened, Brendan Fraser came forward and said that he had been SA'd by
Really?
by
Mm-hmm.
okay,
He's
and
so cool and like
blacklisted him.
lumbery.
no, see, that's the thing. People didn't believe him because he's a
Yep.
guy.
They
Like,
blacklisted
I don't
him.
believe him. No, that's
There's
terrible.
a whole thing about this, but men started coming forward, and the women are the ones who told them to shut up and sit down because this was not about them. There's a whole thing about this, okay?
Oh, wait,
And
wasn't part of their catchphrase like "sit down" or something
Yes,
like that? Or
it was. This
how
was
did
not
it
about
go?
male victims. And if you go
Wow.
back, you I think it was Kurt Russell protected oh gosh, I can't think of his name. Elijah Wood.
Oh.
Then so like he was like, nobody touches him, he's under my protection. So here's the thing, everybody knew that this was happening in Hollywood, and this predates Epstein. This is before Epstein became, you know, like the basically the central hub for this human trafficking pedo ring hell on earth. Okay, but if you go back and look, Natalie Portman has talked about how she was uncomfortable, but because she was so visible, she thinks that that's why she was spared. Same thing with
Wow.
oh gosh, Silence of the Lambs. Why can't I think of Jodie Foster? She was already
Hannibal.
yeah, so she was already so massive as a child star that she got left alone, because if she had said something, it would have carried weight, because she was already so powerful, and what they want is somebody who needs them to be powerful, because that is a manipulation tactic. Because while I completely have agreements and disagreements with both Grace and Kimberly, one, children cannot consent, period. That end of discussion. Like,
well, what are you defining as what are you defining as children?
Stop. Anybody that is 17 and under, because we go by the federal, we don't go by the state. End of discussion. I don't care. If you're a minor, you cannot consent.
Disagree.
Period. End of discussion. That is a legal hard
But Lady
line.
G, nope. What could one make the argument like, well, if you're old enough to work a job, doesn't that?
You cannot. No, you cannot. Because then let's follow that law, we can follow that logic too. It's inevitable ridiculousness. Okay, so what you're saying is, well, if you're able to use a fork, you should be able to be a 5-star chef. Not even a 3-star. You should be a 5-star Michelin chef. Screw 3-star Michelin chef. Why isn't it 5-star?
I mean, it's 16 in most states.
No.
So what?
It doesn't matter.
You really think a 16-year-old doesn't know what sex is?
That's not the point.
You know what?
I didn't, and two,
it doesn't matter. Like, knowing
what it
sex
means
is
to say yes or no.
Qualifier to be involved in sex work.
The legal qualifier
That's
is
insane.
18. Of discussion on that. Minors cannot consent. Period. I don't give a shit. And if you are
you're obviously very emotional about this topic.
Just let her
like,
finish her
discussion
point.
panel,
Wow.
so. Well, she's been going for a while.
Let her finish.
You guys argued for it. That's fine. Whatever. But so minors can't consent. Period. All right. On top of that, you have all of these Disney stars. I mean, look at how effed up some of these adults are now. Look at what they did, especially to the boys, especially to the Amanda Bynes, the Coreys. You're talking oh gosh,
Aaron Carter.
I can't think. Yeah, Aaron Carter. Home Alone.
Brittany.
Why can't I think of his name?
Kevin McAllister.
Yeah. Kevin McAllister, the actor who played Kevin McAllister and whatnot.
Macaulay Culkin.
And then Macaulay Culkin. All of these actors and actresses coming forward, and then you have actresses specifically. You don't have very many actors coming forward saying they were spared, but you do have actresses that come forward saying they were spared. And so the thing is, they already know that boys are less likely to be believed, because boys are supposed to be strong. Boys are supposed to be able to fight stuff off. Boys are supposed to be able to like make that hard line. So fewer people are going to believe boys. It is basic predatory behavior.
Yeah.
That being
the same
said,
thing across the board for sexual abuse in men.
And there's more like gay going on in this group.
But the thing is, like, when you look at Hollywood, you can, even if you removed everything we know about the Epstein files, they have already been caught in other ways. They've already admitted to this, and you have former child stars coming forward saying this is the hell that they lived through. And then you have other people like Natalie Portman and who said, you know, my parents were my agents and they were very, very strict, and I wasn't allowed to do this and I wasn't allowed to do that. And it really does, having parents involved is a massive defense against abuse
everything
like that. It literally means everything. You're supposed to defend your children. So whether or not these girls knew better, or they were materialistic minded, or they wanted to go to the balls, or they wanted to go to the parties or the pictures or the pools, or they just basically, like, what a lot of these girls are chasing
The
is
scene.
comfort. They're chasing comfort. They don't
status.
want to have to worry about stuff. They want to be in the pictures. They want to have the pool. They want to sip on their drinks, and
They don't want to clean the pool.
Yeah, they don't want to clean
They're
the pool.
sold that lie.
They don't want.
But that's true of all hoes. They want to sell their body to get comfort. I'm not sure why this is such a big like surprise to people.
You call it, but you can't.
Nobody's
call
saying it's a
14-year-old
surprise. We're talking about a completely
13-year-old.
different scenario too.
Wait, a Lady Gravemaster though. I just want to say there are cases. There was a Pennsylvania case where an 11-year-old was tried as an adult for murder and was convicted. So if that's true, this whole consent thing you're saying like is really not as clear cut as you make it out to be. If you can be tried as an adult for murder at 11, and it was terrible what he did. He broke into
And
some
couldn't
grandma.
you make-
grandma's
Well, was it
house.
self-defense? Was it
These are-
murder?
Oh no,
self-defense.
he murdered her
Unrelated.
to rob her. It was like
Yikes.
premeditated.
I know what case you're talking.
Then-
Yes, I know what case
Yeah,
you're referring
so-
to. I do
But this
not.
consent thing is
This
not
is-
as simple as
yes.
you're making it out to be.
No, but
No,
I
this is
am.
apples and oranges, and
No,
like
it's not
um,
apples and oranges. To be fair, Kimberly, what she's saying.
definitely is.
So what she is saying is precedent of the law. It isn't apples to oranges. The only argument you could make for it being apples and oranges is
I'll make it.
one is the ending of a life willfully, whilst the other is the destruction of the life at all levels, but the life continues on. And that's really the only case that you can make there. However, Grace, the case that you are mentioning, it was a very hotly debated topic. There were several things that went back and forth. My personal opinion
True.
does not necessarily matter. However, the founding fathers had a lot to say about this, and other legal minds have had a lot to say about this. Children, regardless of how heinous that stuff is, children cannot be tried as adults, or shouldn't be tried as adults, because they aren't adults. Now, the argument is made, well, what if somebody is 17 and they'll be 18 in 2 days, and so are they technically a minor, even though they're going to be on trial as an adult, right? And there is a ton of legal precedent, and it gets very, very murky. But the idea that you can take a child and frame them as in the concept of an adult, or with the abilities, resources, experience, and mental capacity as an adult, is a legal fallacy. And it's going to cause problems down the line, similar to many other legal decisions. Caused massive problems down the line. One of the worst legal decisions.
I understand. I'm not sitting here saying that the age of consent should be 11. I'm just saying that, you know, we allow people to drive cars at 16. 15-year-olds are entrusted with big responsibilities a lot of times. Like, I just don't think it's as clear as you're making out to be.
That's a privilege, not a responsibility.
Well, lots of 14 and 15-year-old girls have sex. I mean, nobody's going to deny that, right?
That doesn't mean it's right.
I was scared.
No, so
well, what if they have it with another 14-year-old?
So I'm just going to touch really
like
quickly
that
on
happens
the whole,
all
if
the
you
time
can
in high
hold-
school.
If you can hold an 11-year-old accountable for a heinous crime as an adult, that doesn't equate to them being mature enough to make a decision about sex at all. Can an 11-year-old
consent to murder
I'm just
someone?
going to keep talking. When that kind of charge is laid down on somebody who is younger than a legal adult, it's because the crime itself is premeditated and horrendous, to the extent that this is not necessarily a person who is going to grow up to integrate into society well. It is not a matter of them being so mature that they should be considered an adult. It's the nature of their crime is that this is not a person who is going to grow up and be a well-functioning member of society. So to say like, oh, well, an 11-year-old can be held accountable, why can't they decide to have
it's
sex?
a good argument.
It's not the
that Grace
same.
brings up.
I understand on
interesting.
the level you're talking about, but fundamentally, when you break it down to its core value, these two things are not assigning the same level of responsibility or morality or capability.
Well, yeah, no,
It's
I
saying-
agree. Murder is much more heinous than sex. Like it's
Again,
much,
that's also not what I'm
much.
saying.
It's a much deeper issue than sex. Like
you're
if you kill
saying-
someone, it's worse
okay.
than raping them. So I mean,
Okay.
Well,
But that's not what we're talking about. You're saying that
are we
if an
not
11-year-old...
agreed on that?
Can I just finish a sentence? Holy crap.
You've been
If an
yapping
11-year-old
for like 2-3 minutes straight. I can't respond.
And I'm responding to what you're saying. When
Okay,
you're
well,
saying
maybe
that
keep
an
it quick.
11-year-old...
I don't know what to tell you. Go ahead.
You go on long-winded rants too, girl. You can just wait your turn, or you can make obnoxious comments.
But go ahead.
Yes, you have. Okay,
No.
if you can saying that an 11-year-old did something heinous and they should be held to a much higher standard of criminal guilt is not the same thing as saying because they're being held to that higher level of criminal guilt, they are of the maturity to make sexual decisions. It is absolutely not the same. It is not saying that they're the same. Holding an 11-year-old accountable as an adult means that they have done something so horrendous that we are predetermining that this person is unlikely to grow up into a fit member of society. So to say like,
that's actually not true. That's not true.
That's
they're
literally
saying
what we're saying.
They're saying this 11-year-old,
this 11-year-old,
this 11-year-old knew what they were doing. They knew the consequences, and they did it anyways. How is that not similar to sex?
I don't think
I'm not saying the age of consent should be 11.
I don't think, Grace, I don't think an 11-year-old understands the consequences of murder.
I think an 11-year-old absolutely could. You don't think an 11-year-old knows what it means to stab someone with a knife and kill them?
The consequence,
I think they could understand that.
You're misrepresenting the legal use of this to try to use it as an example for why somebody young should be considered responsible for their own actions. And that's a fallacy. It's a complete intellectual fallacy.
My simple point is that if an 11-year-old can be tried for murder because they understand the consequences, it's hard to imagine that they couldn't make a decision about sex if they can be tried for making a decision about someone's life.
And I'm saying that that's an intellectual fallacy.
But I'm not for the age of consent being 11, by the way. I'm just giving it as an extreme example.
I didn't say you were, but this is a math equation where you're trying to say 1 + 1 = 5, and it just doesn't.
Well, I was responding to Gravemaster, who said all children, which she defines as anyone under 17, which is ridiculous because then, in her opinion, children drive cars.
That's just
no, it is not. 16 is the age in most states.
Federally, 17 is the legal standard. If you're going to have a debate on this, you should know these things.
What is the age of what?
But nobody would say that a 16. Nobody says that a 16. So 16-year-olds can drive, right? So are children driving cars? No,
not everywhere.
Okay, we need to be a little more careful with our language.
There are certain places where they can't get their license until much older. Actually,
children are driving cars. Okay, guys. No, those are teenagers. They are young adults.
Look, I talked to Grok. Look what Grok said.
You're arguing semantics.
I said, what is the age when a child becomes an adult? It's the age of majority. Federally. Most countries around the world, the age of majority is 18. Lower.
Yeah, but look up age of consent.
16.
Age of consent. Look up the federal age of
higher
consent.
In some.
It's 17 years old.
What is
age of consent across the Western hemisphere, the Western world is between 14 and 17 generally, sometimes 18.
Okay.
So we don't
in Germany. I'm pretty sure in Germany it's 14.
No, single between 14 and 18.
Yep.
Yikes! 14 is so freaking young.
It certainly is.
You know what?
But guys, this is interesting to me. I'm not trying to be a bitch. This is interesting to me because what age of consent means is simply it just simply means that this person is old enough to understand what sex is and what would happen if they had sex and the implications. It doesn't mean that it's still not illegal to rape them. It just means that they're old enough to understand. Now, Kimberly, how old would you? When would you say you were of the age of consent? Like, when were you capable of making a decision about sex?
I think I was 19, honestly, when I fully understood.
What about Kimberly? What would you say? At what age were you?
I mean, I was also
able
groomed
to
at
consent?
an incredibly young age. So
sexuality
was introduced to me very young, and I see and I recognize the patterns of destruction that caused to my early adolescence, almost to the degree of losing my now husband. So like I said, I come from a unique position, and not unique as in there aren't hundreds of thousands of people who have grown up just like me, but I grew up in and out of programs my entire life. I grew up around people who are at risk, who were on the fringe, who were constantly between stable and unstable situations.
But can I just get it?
And I'm just here to tell you the reality of those problems.
Well, how old would you say? How old would you say you were when you were capable of making a decision about having sex?
I don't know.
From your own experience.
Again, like I don't think that I could reasonably answer that because I had sex so young.
For example, what I'm trying to illustrate is like
I was 19. Sure. However, I lost my virginity to a roadie from Rusted Root. So I don't think now, looking back, I don't think I had. If I had known better, I would not have chosen a roadie. I would have chosen maybe a musician, maybe someone who was doing a little better.
We all have regrets, Kit Chrissy.
So I was clearly not. I was clearly still a child at that time due to my poor decision making.
So okay,
well, adults make dumb decisions all the time.
Adults do make. I completely agree, Grace. Adults make dumb decisions all the time.
Well, what I'm trying to illustrate is when I was 9 years old, I didn't know what sex was. Like, I would not. If someone said, "Do you want to have sex?" I'd be like, "I don't know what that is." But by the time I was like 13, I think I would say, "I know what you're referring to," and my answer is yes or no. I would say around 13 for me is when like I know what you're talking about, and I'm going to say yes or no.
I
think that's what most women experience.
I don't know. I don't do generalizations and anecdotes because we can obviously only go off of our own basis. To be fair, I didn't know what sex was until I was 17. And I
didn't know what it was?
Didn't know what it was.
That's the way it should be.
And didn't have my first. I to give you an idea.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Keanu.
Hi, friends.
Let's have a Kiki. I want to have a Kiki. Lock the doors. Right. Let's have a Kiki.
To give you an idea, like
you're having a wild conversation. Just
my husband was my second boyfriend, so like everybody's anecdotal evidence to this is going to be different, which is why we do have certain legal standards. The reason that those legal standards are there is so that predators can face repercussions for messing with children who are meant to be protected. Like that is the entire point. My statement about legal minors is that the reason we have parents, the reason that the family unit is so important is because that is what is supposed to insulate and protect you from these sickos in Hollywood. When you remove the Epstein files completely from all of this, we are talking about 7, 8, 11, 10-year-old girls and boys who were methodically abused and trafficked, and then it was flaunted in front of everyone.
You're right. I'm gonna need a cigarette for this one.
Have one for me.
And my point to that is, so whilst kids make stupid decisions, adults make stupid decisions. The difference is when a child makes that decision, they do not have the life experience to actually understand the effects that is going to have following them through life. It's one of those things where even when I was in the military, it was the same thing. Like, you had girls who didn't know how to wash dishes. They didn't know how to fold laundry. The first time they did any like chore like that was in the military, was in the Marine Corps at boot camp, and they were so lost. So those of us that did know, we came over, we showed them how to do it, and they were able to grow from there. But
you showed them how to wash dishes?
Yes.
That's what the Marines are about. It's not all push-ups, Keanu.
It's not all push-ups. No, we had to, so it was like, you have to clean out your own, like, you have to clean up after yourself, right? A lot of these girls were used to just leaving their stuff on the table and it would just like miraculously vanish. But this is an anecdote because this is very much like everybody's
Isn't that interesting though that you can join the military and you don't even know how to
wash a dish? Oh, there were girls that
never run a vacuum.
Yeah, it was wild.
My dishes, don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell. It's exactly it. They just poof. It's magic. And so like it's just insane to me how different people can be, and the way that you approach it can very much alter like how these girls carry themselves through the rest of your life, through the rest of their lives. And so it is very telling that when you come from a home that is stable and you have love and you have that insulation, you are much less likely to fall into these traps. Whilst you two, and I don't want to necessarily spark this argument again, you should know that I grew up incredibly poor. I mean, Like,
oh, let's do a pour off. I didn't have cable in my house growing up.
Neither did we. My mom was brilliant. We had indoor camping for like the last 3 days
You
of
eat
the
noodles
month
and
until
butter
she got paid.
multiple times a week.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. Tuna and noodles and butter. It was great stuff. But I did have I did have that family, like my parents were there. We were very involved in church. I'm a cradle Catholic. It's all of these things. They were very awesome.
What's a cradle Catholic? Oh, like baptized?
Since birth. Yeah, baptized and stayed with the church. And so like
still with original sin, but baptism takes care of that, right?
Amen. But it's it's really interesting because I look back and my mom did everything she possibly could. My dad did everything possible he could to make sure that we didn't suffer, even though we were really poor. And then they put in a shit ton of hard work, and now they've built their dream house, and they are, I was able to get braces. Like that was a huge thing. But when you don't have that insulation and you are poor, yes, the odds of you getting, pulled into the situation does go up. But to say that rich people can't get manipulated is that's also a fallacy. It is a certain mentality. It is a certain type of person, and you find them everywhere. But the idea that all of these people were not targeted for one reason or another, we know for a fact from different interviews, from different, again, outside the Epstein files, from different comments, like all of these people know. All of these people were aware of what was going on. They said, think of like the Harvey Weinstein jokes that were just like blatant and in your face.
Oh yeah, they were so comfortable with it.
Yeah, the Epstein jokes that were up in your face. Like
at the Oscars, there were a lot of Weinstein jokes. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
So it's just you've got to be like, all right, you know what? At some point, you either want to live comfortably in denial and be like, okay, these I'm just gonna pretend none of this is happening, or you say, you know what? Maybe it's not absolutely 100% everybody in Hollywood and government that does this, but the amount of people that aren't involved in this shit is so little that it is essentially every freaking body, and everybody should just avoid those things like the freaking plague.
And I will say, Grace, one thing I agree with you on in concept is that if you're a kind of woman who hears the Weinstein jokes and then gets invited to have a late night closed door meeting with him at a hotel room at 3 a.m. and you still go, yeah, that's your fucking fault. Okay? Everybody knew you don't.
But I think it's your fault. But I think it's your fault before then too.
What are you talking about? I'm saying that's the insinuating incident.
Like I'm saying all these women who have sex with directors for parts, they're being hoes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you
I don't feel bad for them.
Okay, that's okay. Again, what I'm directly telling you that I agree with you on is if you go into a casting couch type situation where it's like, oh yeah, like he wants me to go for a meeting. It's like behind the back room of like a Dairy Queen in the middle of the afternoon, or like I'm going to go see Harvey Weinstein at 3 a.m. in a hotel. You're going there to fuck him. You know you're going there to fuck him. And that is your fault. I'm saying there's that's a whole other category.
What if it's just one time and it was to be a background extra?
Well, behind a Dairy Queen, Harvey Weinstein would never. He has a Dairy Queen.
There's like it's like the girl. It's like I got a casting call order, and like it's in this sketchy neighborhood in like a warehouse. They want me to bring a bathing suit.
But Kimberly, then you agree with me about the Epstein thing, because that's my argument that basically the girls who were like 15, 16, 17, if they got approached and they go, Ghislaine or whatever goes, hey, do you want $200 to massage this guy? They know what they're getting into.
That's not the same thing.
They know what's going on.
No, they don't.
Were you that stupid? At 15 years old, if somebody came up to you and said, here's $200, go massage a guy, would you be like, oh yeah, it's just a massage.
No,
No.
you're
Being
creating
young,
another
young
intellectual.
and poor is
You're
a
just
powerful
yelling over
combo.
people and saying you're right.
Yeah.
You're creating another intellectual fallacy where you're saying that like somebody who goes to a hotel room at 3 a.m. to a guy where everybody knows like, hey, don't be alone with this guy. Everybody's saying, making jokes about it. There's a difference between that and like you're at a job, you're working, some nice girl who you're working with is like, oh, you're really struggling to make ends meet, aren't you? Well, you know, it's this totally like you don't have to do anything crazy. You could just come and you massage this guy. It's an innocent thing. What they
At the
do
word
is they
massage,
focus-
I'm
you're
saying
still
no. At the
interrupting.
word
Well,
massage, I'm saying no.
that's amazing.
Don't
I'm so glad for you.
Kimberly,
But
you're
what
smarter
I'm-
than you're making yourself out to be. Any girl knows when
Okay.
you hear those kind of words.
That's not
Every
no.
girl knows
Kimberly,
when you
don't
hear
have a
those
daughter.
words.
I'm saying that the whole purpose of the way that she frames it, the whole purpose of the way that girl is framing the situation is to make it
Oh, it's
seem
just a
innocuous.
massage.
And
Like we all saw the recruitment video.
I'm not a
Yes, we did,
masseuse. I don't have any training in massage, but just I'm really pretty though. Oh, this guy just wants a massage. Yeah, naked
Yeah,
with oil.
okay,
But
so
just,
let me
there's
tell
no,
you,
no,
there's
nothing else involved.
Girls
I'm
Yes,
sorry,
that's how
to,
they
like,
trick
cut
women into
through
being
this.
hostesses. That's literally a pipeline.
It is
And
a
yes,
pipeline.
that's exactly how they do it. They say, "Don't worry about it. You don't even have to be wearing nothing. You can wear a cute dress, and you don't have to deal with clients themselves. You're just bringing them to the room." It's literally a tactic where you're eased in little by little until you're
And
programmed
you know
to accept
what's going
more and more.
on. You
Okay,
know
I'm
that
telling
that's
you
what's
in this
going on.
situation you wouldn't. I'm telling you
This
in this
is just like
situation,
this
it's
is just like this modeling thing, right? There are girls who are really pretty who photographers get and they shoot them in clothes, and then they go, "Could you just switch to shorter shorts and we'll take some more pictures? Oh, could you just take your top off? Just
It's
bra.
not the
You're
same
so
thing.
pretty."
You're playing
And the girls
leapfrog
go,
with the
"Okay,
point.
they know what's going on. You can call it a
okay,
pipeline all you
well,
want, but they know what's going
The
on."
lines are
Wait,
Again,
I-
you're
I-
calling
I have
something.
a question.
You're saying
Hold
that
on,
something
wait,
is
wait,
totally
yeah,
different.
hold on,
You're
hold on,
trying to-
everyone. Hold on, everyone.
Tattoo on your elbow. Your toasty, the tattoo on your elbow. Is that a rose
Hold on.
line?
We're gonna let Keanu talk because she just got
Oh
here.
no. Just
Oh, sorry. I was
just
just trying to see what's on
Wait, how
Toasty's
do I-
elbow.
okay.
That's
if I may,
beautiful.
I think you're
Oh, that
talking
is
about I guess Grace
Thank
is saying
you.
the young women that were, obviously trafficked by Epstein, they should have known. Like you should have known you're just gonna go give this guy a massage. And is that what you're saying, Grace? Basically,
I'm
You
saying
should
the
have
ones
known
who
it
were
was
like 14, 15
untoward.
and older, they knew
No,
that
I
that there
disagree with
was
that. But I
100%.
also disagree
The
with
way
I don't-
it's
the Epstein thing. The Epstein. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
no, go
The
ahead.
God Weinstein thing. I mean, even Gwyneth Paltrow. That's not even a good comparison.
J-Law
because
worked with him.
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow was like, yeah, he wants me to, go to his hotel room, and then he opened the door in a freaking robe, and then Brad Pitt was like, "Fuck you, Weinstein! Don't ever do that to my girlfriend again." Like that. Those are not good comparisons. Epstein, you're 14, 15, and you're like down and out. Well, it's just a massage. I need some money.
Yeah, you
You
really,
you
literally
don't
is.
know.
Like I
No,
said,
you don't.
the tactic
Yeah.
that they use is essentially the equivalent of when a frog is slowly brought to
Yes.
a boil. You don't
Right.
realize what's happening as
Right.
you could shake your head all you want. This is literally
you are
studied
infantilizing
science.
women. You
No,
are
I'm not.
infantilizing
This is
women.
just the
You
reality
are.
of people
You are.
for real. No,
Because
I'm
nobody
not.
on this panel is going to say, "Oh, when I was 15, I would have sucked to Jeffrey
wasn't
Epstein's dick for
desperate when I was
$200."
15 like
Nobody
that.
on this panel would say, "I could have been
My
duped into
God,
that," because you all
I'm
think you're
so
smarter than that, and
naive.
those
No,
women
I'm
were smart
pretending that
too.
This world is
But you just said
idealistic,
dumb.
and that
Grace,
everybody should
Grace,
just have common sense.
Yeah,
A lot of
but-
people don't have the privilege of that. A lot of people don't have the support to understand
But-
right from wrong and
But also-
predatory from
Infantilization. That's what you're
Grace,
doing.
It's not
Infantilization. Poor
infantilizing.
people,
People can
poor
be
women know
manipulated.
what's right and wrong just as
Is
much
it
as other people
easier
do.
to manipulate
Stop
a
infantilizing
14-year-old
them.
girl
You just
or
said
a
dude.
25-year-old woman? Is
Grace,
it
you
easier
just-
to manipulate a 14-year-old girl or a 25-year-old woman?
14-year-old, of course.
Great.
Okay, so you're
just
saying
said-
that
you just
14-year-olds
said the
could be
word dupe.
manipulated.
They can
It's
be,
easier.
sure.
It's easier. to
Okay, so
manipulate
the
them.
idea that when I'm telling you, they get eased into a situation that they're told is innocuous, that they're told is fine, then
That
they
they're brought
test
in
their
by a
threshold.
woman, by
Once
the
their
way,
threshold
a
is
woman.
tested and established, that's when they start to bring up the water. That's why I brought the metaphor of the frog being boiled in the water alive. It doesn't realize until it's being boiled to death.
Okay,
It is
so here
a-
was their realization moment. So he would have them come in,
But
he'd
they
be on the
didn't have-
massage
I'm telling
table
you, they
on
didn't
his
have that
stomach.
realization moment.
Because
But
you
you
think
don't
other
even know
women
that
are
that's what it
stupid.
was
You're
like.
smart, but other women are stupid. No, I
No,
tend to
that's
think
not what
actually
I'm
that those
saying
women
at
aren't
all.
little babies.
You're
Those
lying
women
to
are
yourself.
smart, and they
That's
made
not
a
what I'm saying.
decision. They made a decision.
You're
Now here's
saying
the
that-
boiling point moment,
So
right?
you know
So
that
he's
he
laying
just- they
face
just
down.
walked into,
He's laying
on a
face
table.
down on the
That's not how
massage
it works.
table.
You are
He's
already
laying
telling
face
on
down on the
yourself that's
massage
not how it
table.
works.
They
Not
rub
how it
him,
works.
then he turns over and he's
Nope.
got an erection.
Not
And
how
they
it
sit there and they
works.
go,
We need to
Still not how it
pause.
works.
We
We
need
don't
to
what
have
should
to
I
talk
do?
about-
Should I jerk him
They're
off for the
not brought into
200?
a room
Or
on a
should I
way on
walk
the
away?
table.
Hey, don't make me
That's
start muting
literally
people.
not what happens.
I will start muting people. We have to take turns.
Mm-hmm.
We have to let each other talk.
Okay.
We have to let people like Toasty and Keanu, who
Yeah.
some people in the chat think are dead, they have to be able to talk too. Some people think that Toasty and Keanu have been replaced by cardboard cutouts. Okay, we have to.
They
make sure
probably
everybody
wish they
gets a
had
turn.
been.
But I love the passion.
I actually because this is just how my brain works, and I apologize completely. But Toasty, your tattoo, I saw it, but could you explain it? It's just very, very beautiful. The one on your elbow. What is
How
it
is
exactly?
this relevant? Keanu's view on
I
the
will.
Epstein release. Open-ended question, but tonight's show has been this topic. Keanu, your thoughts?
Wild. First of all, the funniest thing about it is a bunch of comedians we know are in it. Not for the reason that you think. But
Bobby
because
Slayton, who else?
literally
Attell.
Dave Attell, Kevin Brennan's in it because
Oh,
they were
boy.
emailing back and forth about, not for nefarious reasons.
Jeffrey
but
loved
because they were giving
comedians.
them
He
the
loved
lineup.
comedy.
Yeah. So it's wild. And I guess what I'm gathering from what Grace and Kim are saying is that Grace is of the thought, I suppose, that if you're 13 or 14, you know what you're doing. Just say no, give up the $200. In my opinion, it doesn't work like that, especially if a woman named Ghislaine Maxwell with her creepy bob and, fucking comes up to you and she kind of gets you in there. You don't know how to say no, just like with Weinstein. Yes, maybe Gwyneth Paltrow can say no to Harvey Weinstein, right? But a lot of other women couldn't, because it's like
power,
what
they
do
have
I do?
status.
They make it seem so normal. So it's like the fear of not being almost polite, which is fucking terrible. Weinstein was a monster. I'm never gonna blame any woman, especially young girls that are fucking 14, 13 years old.
You're a kid. You are
You're
a kid still.
child. Right. I lost my virginity at 15 years old, right? I'll say I knew, but did I really know what I was doing? It wasn't with an older, it was just with another 15-year-old, right? But it wasn't, I didn't have some man being like, oh, just come over and give me a massage, and then turns over and he has an erection. That's to me, respectfully, I think that's a ridiculous thing to.
And to your point, to support what Keanu's saying, like I also had a very early, like I was 14 years old when I had my first like sexual experience, and looking back, it's like, damn, you're way too young for that. And it was with a 17-year-old lifeguard at the pool that I was like practicing at all the time. And even though we were both teenagers and technically like not I'm sorry, he told me he was 17, he was 19, so he lied about his age. And then he was like,
isn't it funny that you didn't lie about your age and he did?
Well, who thinks to lie about their age? Until I got into the AOL chat rooms. But
ASL.
But then he's like, I'm gonna picked me up in his Jeep Wrangler. I was like, wow, a car with no doors. And then the rest is very sad. And even though we were both like teenagers and he's 19 and 40, it's like I still was 100% groomed, and it was because of the status, and he was older and like cooler, so cool. It was like this cool lifeguard, and like, wow, he thinks I'm a good diver. let's get in his car and go around the block. It wasn't even a date. He literally drove 2 blocks down. It was so sad. Anyway,
see?
yes,
And
I
then
had the
you're
autonomy.
like,
Yes, I
well-
said yes. Yes, I agreed to hanging out with him, and I voluntarily got in the car and voluntarily did things I regret now. But it's like I was very much manipulated, and there were things in play like status and power and age and money that played into it.
Money? He paid you?
He had a job, Grace. He was a lifeguard. I didn't have a
You
job.
seem to be coming from this mentality of like, well, I knew better, so like I don't understand why anybody else couldn't. It's like, okay,
I just
well,
don't see how that's grooming. I mean, so he's attractive. How is that grooming?
Are you
He-
saying
you
that
ignored
Epstein-
everything else
Are you
she
saying
Maybe I'm
that-
wrong.
Are you
but
saying
you are.
Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't like grooming women for and then Jeffrey was
No, I was saying
grooming
with
them?
Chrissy. I wasn't talking specifically about.
So do you
I
think
was saying,
Grace,
I don't
that
see how that was
that I
grooming.
like that I agreed to what I agreed to like fully willingly and I wasn't manipulated or I
Well,
should accept.
did you consent to the sex? I mean, was there sex?
Well, there was I'm not gonna
Well,
go into, like,
whatever
detail,
sexual activity,
detail.
did you consent to?
No,
Or was
that's
it-
why I
was it
have a
rape?
joke. That's why I have a joke about head pushing. Is because that was the origin of the head push joke. I
They
was
just
literally like,
practiced
oh,
their
I guess I'm
diving."
learning a new skill today. What's down here? You know.
But would you say you were raped? Was it sexual assault?
She
It was-
didn't say that.
I
She
didn't-
just
I
I'm
said-
just
didn't want
asking. I'm just asking.
I'm saying I didn't. If you have to push someone's head down forcefully, does that seem consensual to you?
Not really.
I mean, it
wasn't
depends
my
if you're saying
idea.
like, I don't know what's going on, then he's like, okay, just do it, and you're like, okay, or if you're like, I really don't want to, and he like pins you down, like there's a difference.
In that moment though, you're
I don't
like,
know what it was.
I guess this is what I'm supposed to do, so I guess I'll do it.
What Grace thinks is I should have.
I don't
like, in
think
that
that's
moment,
rape.
Back off, dirtbag, and like pulled out my gun and be like, "You're under arrest." Psych.
Well, if you don't want to
This is
do
a
it, you
citizen's
could. I mean,
arrest,
if you don't
right.
want to, I understand things are awkward. I understand that, but like, if you really didn't want to do it, you could just
But
say like,
Grace,
I really
you-
don't feel comfortable with this, and
think
just
you
hop
know
out the
how
car.
often that
I know
turns
what the
into
problem
women
is.
getting
Hold on.
assaulted or
Hold on, Kim.
murdered.
I know what the
It
problem
doesn't
is.
seem like she
Grace
was
has
concerned
Grace does
about
not
that.
have daddy issues. Grace has
my
a
God.
really good relationship with her dad. That was not
Yeah.
the case with me. I was not raised in a place where I came to be a teenager and I thought I could say no. Do you know what I mean? Like it was more just like, oh, like this is a cool older teenager, and if you want to be cool, you'll do these things. You know,
I'll be embarrassed if I don't.
I'll be
I don't
embarrassed.
called
I'll be a
grooming.
nerd. I'll be a loser. I will
called
never
grooming.
be in a car
That's
with no
not
doors
grooming.
again.
I
That
get that
literally
thing,
is
but
what being groomed is.
no,
dude.
they're
I'm
talking about like
sorry you never
society. No,
experienced
wait,
it. You
guys,
don't
no,
know what
no,
you're
because
talking
I
about.
get this. They're talking about
Holy
like
shit.
society, like kids at school will say
Yes,
like, you're
you
a
can
loser.
Be groomed by other kids.
Is
Grooming
the high
occurs
school
between other
grooming
kids.
you? Like,
Grooming-
no.
Yes.
There's
you can be-
societal pressure
Holy
to
shit.
lose your virginity and stuff like that.
That's
but that's
grooming.
not grooming.
It
That's
is.
just,
That
you know.
literally is grooming.
Where did that
Pressure.
Well,
Whatever
who's grooming you?
you
The
wanna
entire
call it.
school?
Right.
There you go.
Did you hear what Chrissy
Yes,
just
your
said?
peers can
She-
groom you. You can be groomed by your
Well,
peers.
I mean, that's
right.
ridiculous.
Or pressured.
No, it's
But
not.
did you hear what Chrissy just said? She said she was what, 15?
14.
14.
14.
The guy lied to her about his
being
age.
closer to her age.
Closer
I don't
to
really
her
see a
age.
big difference between 17 and 19. I mean,
Then why do you have to
whatever.
lie about it?
Different.
Because he was
Yeah.
being predatory. Just be logical.
Right. And
I
why
get
would-
that,
why
but-
would he
That's a
lie
lie
then?
for
If
a
you-
reason. The
Yes,
reason he
and if
lied
you
was
don't
because
see
he
it-
wanted to make her more
Right.
comfortable.
14
He wanted
is
her
you
more
don't
comfortable
see it
so that he
in
could get
ninth
her
but
in
I'm
the
pretty sure she
situation.
thought he was hot whether he was 17 or 19.
Well,
Oh my
why
God,
would he
you're,
lie
you're,
then?
You're
Grace?
playing
That's why
cognitive
she wanted to
dissonance.
date him, no?
What-
That's why she
You're
wanted to
playing
date him.
cognitive dissonance. He lied intentionally about being younger than he was so that she would feel comfortable in a sexual situation with him.
Grace,
That
what
is
if
called
he was
predatory
30?
behavior.
But she thought he was hot. So
30?
So
Sorry?
what? That means he's
Wait,
still
Chrissy, what did you
lying
say?
in order to make her
Hold
comfortable
on, Grace.
being sexual with him.
Let's
That's
say he
called-
lied about his age. Let's say he was actually 30, saying that he was whatever it was, 16, 17. Would that be like gross enough to you? Would that be enough of a gap? Like he's actually 30. I'm 14, but he
He's
lies
lying.
and says he's
No,
I mean,
girl
that's
is
kind of
too
a
mature
ridiculous
at
hypothetical because
14.
I'm just saying I don't
This
think
is
anybody
all-
would
Oh,
believe
but
that a
you
30-year-old is
hypotheticals all this
17.
conversation. What are
Nobody
you
would
talking
believe that a 30-year-old is 17. So
If it's
I just don't see
ridiculous,
the.
then why
Female
did he
teachers
lie?
do it all the
possible.
time.
Holy
Wait,
Lord.
Grace, hang on. I actually do have a question based off what you just said. Grace, what year were you born? Or you don't have to,
2002.
never mind. Was it 2002? Okay.
Yeah.
So you would have been. When did so there were like shows like sitcoms and like dramas and stuff like that were on, and they revolved around high school. Freddie Prinze Jr. was like 31 and he was playing a 17-year-old, and they made him look it. I just find it interesting that you say that
That's
nobody's
true.
gonna
They
buy
could never
that,
like
Regina
have very
George was
limited life
26,
experience.
actually. when
Yeah,
she
she
playing
was.
high school.
And
Yeah,
so
I
it's
understand that in
really
Hollywood, but
interesting.
I'm just saying your average 30-year-old is not going to be able to convince even a
We're not talking about
14-year-old
an
that
average
he's
30-year-old.
17.
But
So
no,
you're
I
Gen
was
Z,
actually
right? Right,
I was
Grace,
just curious.
I suppose?
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is your generation. There's a gap here. Y'all grew up. I grew up the internet too. I'm a millennial, right? I think we're all
Grew up a little
millennials or
faster,
Gen
I would
Z
I
here.
would
But-
say. Like, because
But
of the
you're
internet.
you're more like you see things because you've never not known the internet, so you see
Yeah.
it.
That's not
You
true.
would.
I mean, I
would-
grew up
I
without
would
the
think
internet.
So. Okay.
No, it's
So
more
you
the
never saw
Gen
any-
Alpha. I grew up, outside. I had TV and stuff, but I didn't have the internet now. So
Okay.
this is
Also
more the
grew up
later
in a very
generation.
supporting Catholic,
Well, at what age did you
Catholic-based
start,
environment.
using like the internet and like stuff?
I
Like
don't know, 12, 13, something like that.
Well,
That's
then
pretty
you
young.
are. Yeah, I mean that's normal, I suppose.
But it's fine. Yeah. What's your point? I kind of grew up on it.
Not
yeah, sure,
every.
whatever, it's fine.
My point is that maybe not every woman is like you, and would be like, oh, an erection, Jeffrey Epstein, fuck you, I'll karate chop you in the dick. Like, right?
Well, I
not
wish-
for
I
$200,
wish all
not for
women
any money.
would
But when you're
react that way.
when you're being led into something by a woman, number one, a woman,
Yes,
got her to have appointments with Jeffrey, and you are kind of down and out. It seems normal, and everyone around you is acting like it's normal. You're saying that these women, how could it have happened so many times, and how is it a crime if you're just like, well, fuck you? I would have been like, yeah, get off me. How could it have
my
happened
point is,
so
wait,
many
well, I just want
times?
to say,
like that.
my point is not that people should do what Ghislaine and Jeffrey did. I don't condone that. I think it's gross.
nobody said you
Right.
did.
But
the
my
women
point
should
is
have
that
fought back
those
harder. Yeah.
No, I'm saying those women had a choice and they made it. So to say that they're pure victims is, I
They
think,
are pure
inaccurate.
victims. Don't.
Okay,
yeah,
but
they're
also
pure
the
fucking
wait.
victims.
Okay,
How are
you
they?
said-
No,
you
no,
said
Keanu.
something-
How could they possibly be pure victims? Even Kimberly will agree with me with this. Some of the girls who did this
Don't speak
eventually
for me.
recruited other girls for more money. Are they pure victims? Like, we got to
Yeah,
draw the
okay,
line
so
somewhere.
there's multiple examples of this. It's
Are
like
they?
why
They roped
have
other girls into doing sex work and got paid
so-
more
They're
for
giving
it.
them-
Are you
they're feeding
familiar?
them
We're gonna talk
drugs,
about
they're-
this.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
come on.
okay, are you familiar with this phenomena where they'll take well-known OnlyFans models, or they'll take really pretty OnlyFans models, and they'll rent them an Airbnb in like a mansion, and they'll lease, or they'll take a rental out for a really luxury car, and they'll have these girls
Content
do
house.
these promos. They'll have these girls do these promos where they're like, "This is my house. This is my car."
no.
It's false misrepresentation. You
Bop
also made a
houses,
point,
yeah.
or that's why they advertise at colleges, because they want to mislead girls who are easily vulnerable. I'm gonna say this too. Earlier, when you were talking about the massage thing, it is never like, oh, you're gonna walk into a room and he's naked on a massage table.
There'll
That's
be a
not how
penis
it works.
out.
That's never how it works. There are these. Okay, so the way that these jobs work, and I know a lot of girls who were tricked into these jobs. You're taught that, oh, you're just there to be a pretty face. You give shoulder
Yeah,
massages.
you don't have to
Sometimes
be
you'll rub their
sexual.
arms. You'll hand them their cigars. It's kind of treated like a hostess. They try to tell you it's like a hostess position,
Yeah.
where it's like you
Sure.
just make a lot of tips. You're only going
Yeah.
to make tips. And then what happens is you stay in those circles a long time. And I'm telling you this from firsthand experience. This isn't like hypothetical. You don't walk into a room and there's a guy on a table naked. You walk into a room, there's 20 other people, there's 15 other girls, they're all dressed in cute outfits, there's nice music playing. You're typically in a really nice apartment or mansion or some kind of condo,
And everyone's acting like this is normal.
everybody, they suss you out by, okay, so they'll be like, oh, like they'll suss you out, the vulnerable ones, by being like, oh, well, like, do you want a drink? Do you want to come to the bathroom with me and do a bump of coke? Like, that's when they start to pick out the girls individually, who they can then say, like, hey, I know you're making really good tip money here, but like, are you ready to step it up to the next level? Will you let me like take pictures of you? I promise I won't touch you. I promise it won't be anything inappropriate, but I'll give you
But why can't they say no? Like, first of all, they should be saying no to the. They should be saying no to the drinks, no to the bump of coke, because they know that that's going to impair them and make them vulnerable. But they should be saying no to that stuff. They do know that. Every girl knows that if you're with a bunch of guys or even a group of people, if you start drinking, you're going to be in a less defendable position. Everybody knows that. Everybody
in a perfect world, nobody does drugs, nobody does alcohol. Everybody makes good decisions, but that's what I'm saying. They identified girls who are vulnerable by doing these little things to assess whether or not they can push further. Should they have said no? Absolutely. Should they be doing drugs?
Chrissy, you were there, right? So I walk up to you.
Yes.
Gavin McInnes walks up to both of us, okay? Gavin walks up to both of us, Gavin McInnes, and says, can I see your ass in those tights? I'll give you a bump of coke, right? Now, he was joking.
You're also 22 years old.
I understand that. I understand that. But if I said, but I'm a vulnerable young YouTuber. I don't make a lot of money.
He wasn't actually asking you to see his ass.
I'm not saying he was, but if I said yeah, and then I did coke with him, and then I went, and then I drank with him, and then I had sex with him, and then I regretted it, is that my fault, or did he groom me?
Oh
that has nothing.
Girl, it's not the same. You're making complete intellectual. These are intellectually dishonest connections. They're not the same. They are not the same scenario. I'm telling you.
If I was 16, would it be a big difference?
What if a woman comes up to you, though? What if a woman?
Going up to a 16-year-old versus a 22-year-old.
You know what? Chrissy was there, and she acted like it was normal. So.
Because
what's going on with that, Chrissy?
There wasn't a scenario where he wasn't joking.
I'm just kidding.
I laughed at first, and then I was like, is he serious? Is he joking? Like,
Gavin, I know Gavin McInnes well. One of the first things he ever told me was that he took my aunt to the bathroom and did coke off her ass. It wasn't a true story. I know it's not a true story. I know Gavin was just trying to be a troll. Gavin was trolling you. There is a difference between Gavin trolling you and saying, hey, baby, I'll give you a bump of coke if you let me look at your ass.
It didn't say he was being serious.
There is a bit, oh my God, there is a difference. There is literally a difference. It's a completely different scenario.
But I do think he was semi-serious.
And we're playing soccer. It's not the same.
Right. It's not the same as you're brought into a place. There's other women there saying, yeah, we do this all the time. It's
my God, it's totally normal. I'm totally safe. You can make all your own decisions. Yeah. It's not the same. And like I said, yes, should you go to a place where you're supposed to be working and have a drink? No. Should you have a bump of coke? No. These are the decisions that you make. But these also are decisions that mark you as somebody who can be coerced.
Agreed. I completely agree with you. So if you're the type of girl who is going to drink and do drugs with random people, you probably are also going to sell your body. Sure.
Because of their own decisions. But that doesn't mean that they deserve to be put in harmful situations. It doesn't mean that they agreed fully to those situations they wind up in.
Who's the frog in the water?
It sounds to me like there's consent the whole way through. They consent to the drinks, they consent to the drugs, they consent to the photography, then they consent to the sex work.
Grace, you can consent and also be groomed at the same time.
Yes, because you're in an environment where that is treated
grooming
normal.
is just way overused, though.
No,
if someone is offering you something, and you accept their offer, that's not grooming. That's just a transaction.
That's not what the grooming
I didn't like
would
the
be.
word grooming for many years, so I understand.
That's not okay, but you're misidentifying what would be the grooming part of that. The grooming. Okay, so let's take a Ghislaine Maxwell situation. The grooming begins when she starts to work on a girl who's clearly in need of money, and she befriends this girl. She becomes a confidant of this girl, and she says, hey, I know you're struggling. You know, there's this thing you can do. That's where the grooming begins. Making her rationalize the idea that, oh, it's just like, it's a really innocent thing. This is what a lot of girls do. You'll meet a lot of girls who do it. That's the beginning of it. And then, like I said,
And it's a woman
progresses.
telling you that. It's a
Great.
woman
So it
telling
seems
you that.
okay.
It's not
That's
like
why
some
these women are
weird freak,
considered.
comes up
Ghislaine
to
Maxwell,
you.
in a lot of ways, is way more evil. And a lot of, if you look at the files, there's so many different accounts of people saying that they thought and they felt that Ghislaine was infinitely more evil and manipulative than Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
And there's a reason that she was his, main
Number
bitch.
one.
There's a reason that she was like the ringleader, because she knew how to identify and manipulate people. Not just women, but people.
And a lot of
I mean, at the end of the day, basically, she offered girls money for sex, and some of them took her up on the offer, and some of them
No,
didn't.
she did. If you think
And
that
it
it
was
was
more
a Ghislaine
comfortable.
Again, you need to
thing where
study
she was
this stuff
walking
way
up to
more.
women Going,
This is
come
like,
have
and a
sex
lot-
with my friend.
I
for
listened to some
money.
of those
That's
victim
not it.
stories.
Yeah.
I told you the
understand.
one
You
about
need to-
the clerk girl.
I've been studying
She told
the
it
Finders
from her own
Keepers
mouth.
and Epstein and everything going on 12 years. I'm telling you, you have fundamental gaps in your knowledge about how these rings work and the exact methodology that they use to identify and manipulate people. Not just women, not just young women.
Okay.
No,
I
you
need to
need more
educate myself on
information.
that.
That's what I'm telling you.
You need to stop infantilizing women who make bad
I'm not.
decisions and then regret
You're
it
using
later.
a
That's what
buzzword
you
and it's
need
not
to
gonna-
stop doing.
I'm not doing that.
I don't think
it's
she's doing
absolutely
that.
not. I'm using informed research and studies and personal statements from hundreds of victims that I've read and interviewed over the last decade. You need that experience. You maybe don't need 10 years, but I'm telling you, it is not you have like this most simplistic version of events in your head, to the degree that you literally believe they would walk in and there would be a naked dude on the table.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
Yes,
that.
you did.
No, I said he would be
I'll
face
clip it
down.
for
He
you.
would be
That's
face down.
on
And
a
he would have a
table
towel
with
over
a
him
towel.
or whatever.
That's not how it works.
Yes,
That's not
that
how it
was
works.
literally how one of them described it. And then he flipped over and he had, like, after a couple, half an hour or whatever, he flipped over and he had an erection under the towel. That's how one of them
happens
described
after
it.
several stages. That is not the first thing they're introduced
Okay, so I'm
to.
not lying.
Okay, I
Yes,
have
you
to do
are.
super
You're saying
chats.
that the first thing that happens is they're walked into a room.
Beep.
Lee Kindler for 5. Grace is overlooking the fact that minors can't consent. Thank you, Lee.
Well, I mean, that's not true. 14, 15, 16,
Legally,
17-year-olds
they cannot
can legally
The
consent
same
in
way
multiple
that
countries.
a prisoner cannot consent even if they're an adult, a minor cannot legally consent. You are.
There are literally multiple states in America where 16-year-olds can
Holy
consent. Like, I'm not
crap.
making that up.
Again,
That's
Grace,
literally true.
Yes, Grace. Go back
Okay.
to the fact that there are laws that have consequences that we're still learning from our own mistakes of legality and whatnot. But that, we also have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds who are getting double mastectomies and all of this stuff. So are you telling me that they absolutely knew what they were doing when they said, yeah, take it, destroy my body, alter me, all of that stuff? Because all of these detransition stories currently are saying, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought these people cared about me. They lied.
I'm really not saying anything that deep. I'm just saying if you look up the age of consent laws in the United States, the
I know you're
majority
not
are
saying
16.
anything deep.
The language
We know
you're
you're
It's
not
all
saying
I'm saying.
anything
It's just
deep.
like it's
Grace,
in the law. That's
no,
all.
and the Grace, and what I'm saying is California is trying to bump stuff back. They're saying, oh, now 12-year-olds, they have to schedule their own appointments. Their parents can't get access to their medical records.
Right.
All of this, California is using this same tactic to decrease, to literally cause this a wedge between parents and informed consent of adults, of the parents who are the caretakers of the children, and the children themselves. And they are trying to go directly for the children because they know this is the thing. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you think should be true, regardless of what you think is that, this is what the law says. There's been a lot of fucked up laws, Grace. I did it too long for too many thousands of years for me to even basically tap on. Okay, there's a difference between morality and legality. It's a whole, I mean, you're Catholic, you know this, so, or if you've studied your catechism, but that whole part aside, the same arguments that you are using is the same arguments that these individuals who are mutilating the bodies of children are using. It is quite honestly that simple. And the thing is, like, predators go where they know they can get access to their prey.
They
That's
live in the
why
wiggle room, right?
That's where they go. And there's there's different types of predators. Now, granted, I'm also like, hey, we were given discernment. This is why parents are important, because they need to teach you how to use it, and they need to teach like this. This is where the insulator of parents comes in. But like, here's the thing: if you're going down a sidewalk and then you come to a fork in the road, and one is a well-lit path and one is a dark alleyway where there's like a bunch of stuff where people can hide, common sense should dictate you don't go that way. Oh, but it's a shortcut, I can save 5 minutes. And there's a lot of people who drink the Kool-Aid is a thing for a reason. Like, I think it was like 900 people literally drank the Kool-Aid. Now, some of them were forced at gunpoint. A lot of them were children. But it was like 900 people drank the Kool-Aid and died. I don't know. Like, this has been like, this has been a thing throughout human history. This isn't a new phenomenon. This is human psyche. It has been this way for a very, very, very long time. And while
I'm not sure what your point is. I'm just
my
not sure.
point is that you can't sit there and say that a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old can consent to having these things and then understand what the effect is or what they mean, because the language you're using is the same language being used by these individuals who are targeting these children to mutilate their bodies, like
justify what they're doing.
Exactly. And so
I most certainly can say that. You can disagree with me, but I mean, what age do you think that a female should be allowed to obtain an abortion without parental consent?
They should never have. I think that I'm an abolitionist, so you probably don't want to talk to me on that one.
Well, I'm pro-life. Okay, is anybody here pro-choice?
I'm pro-choice.
Okay, at what age do you think a girl should be able to get an abortion without parental consent?
I would hope that you wouldn't have to have one without parental consent. But yeah, I mean, if you are, God forbid, something happens where you're coerced into a situation and you get pregnant and say your parents don't say, all right, I'd say 13, 14. Yeah.
13, 14. Okay. And not trying to be political about it.
I'm on the low end of that, because hopefully you could go to your parents and say, yeah.
But you realize the contradiction, right? You realize the contradiction. If a 13-year-old girl can consent to terminating the life, right? Which is, you could call it murder. I'm not trying to be political. Terminating a life, right? But there's certainly a life that you're terminating. I'm trying to use like neutral language. If a girl at 13 is competent enough to make that decision, but you're saying she is a pure victim in any sexual encounter and has no ability to consent. How could that be true?
I just think like no one should be forced to have a child they want to have, especially
right. But the implication of that is like an abortion is killing a life. It is.
To me, it's not. But
I was gonna say you're talking to someone.
Well, it is an alive organism.
Kim and I have had
human.
conversations on this, right? And hopefully that your parents teach you. You know, at least if you know your girl's gonna have fucking sex at a young age, hopefully they teach you the proper methods of birth control. But like, I don't really want to get into when does life happen with you, because I'm pro-choice all the way. But
that's a whole other
show.
I mean, scientifically, it is alive. Yeah. You can't deny that. It's not dead.
For $10. Which celebrity appearance least surprised you, Chrissy? Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Elon Musk. Least surprised me. I mean, I would say it's a tie between the Bills, because we've known that they were in it for years.
Elon said he was in it, so that was not surprising. Because Elon even said, I'm in there. Like, these people have contacted me to try to get me to either come to their parties or to sponsor like one of their events, and he told them no. But he's in there.
Yeah, I was least surprised by Bill Gates, Bill Clinton. Viking for 2 turning into Alex Stein versus Brandy Love 2.0. Thank you, Viking, for that reminder. Hopefully I don't lose any friends tonight. Oh God, this was funny. Somebody in the chat mentioned this moment.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier.
The 21-year-old model Gabriela Rico Jimenez, after attending an elite party, she disappeared forever after this night, was never seen again. Now, in 2026, pages from the files vindicate everything she says she saw. The elites torture, sacrifice, perform rituals, and feast on human flesh. Oh my God. Again, this is so like this is to me like this is March of 2020. So to have everybody finally on board is like, all right.
It sounded like a laugh track.
So is she just like outside a hotel right now? Like where
she's in a hotel lobby, and the context around this, as far as I've been able to find, but I can't confirm, is that there was a party going on. She escaped. She got to the lobby. She started yelling about how they were. She thought that this was going to just be a normal party, and they started eating people. They were cutting people. And she said they're disgusting. You don't understand. They're eating humans. And then she disappeared. And they when this hit the news, because like this was caught on security camera and stuff like that. When this hit the news, they said that she was mentally unstable, that she was likely high or drunk or both when she was making these comments, and that she's clearly out of her mind, because normal human beings do not do ritualistic human sacrifice.
Eat humans?
Yeah,
No,
we're not
beings.
nibbling on pinkies, and we're not chomping down on thigh legs of humans. But this is if you, oh my God, girls, if you get into those,
you're right. Imagine if you say they're eating people in there.
Yeah,
they'd
exactly.
be like, put her away.
That's why
did you
who are considered unreliable, people who have criminal afflictions, people who are drug addicts, they take people who are unreliable so that when they break out of the party and they go downstairs and they start screaming about they're eating humans, they go, oh, you're a fucking drug addict, you're a crazy person, you're not somebody.
Wait, but did you notice that she said I knew about the murders, but the eating humans part was over the line? Like, what does that even mean? She knew about the murders? What?
Yeah, so the area that she's in, the cartel operates, they kill people. She didn't know that the cartel was funneling people to, like, freshly dead people to these parties, or freshly captured people to be ritualistically sacrificed. Like,
but then what does the murder have to do with the party? How did she know the cartel was involved?
So she says she knows that the murders are happening. Like, it's just in Mexico, like, if you get disappeared, there's a 9.9 out of 10 chance that it was the cartel that did it. Like, that's just like, again, it's the Hollywood through the decades. Everybody knows, but nobody can, like, there's either anybody that has the proof is, like, is keeping quiet or using it to blackmail or whatever, but everybody still knows what's happening, but there's not anything that they can do about it. It's just the way that it is.
It's like how we know now that the cartel literally puts bounties out on ICE agents. Like, that they function very seamlessly in sex trafficking, in human trafficking, in drugs, in murder, in all sorts of facets. They pretty much are the shadow government.
Right.
And they interact with American government, and they interact in American
Democratic Party. Yeah.
Well, they interact with everybody. This is not a partisan thing. Like, quite frankly, like, if your name is in there, go get it. Like, I don't know who's going to investigate you, because everybody is freaking tied up in this absolute diabolical, demonic trash, just insanity. But I'm all for public hangings making a comeback, because this is just disgusting. Wild to me. Like,
I think we should bring back the millstone.
That the fact that we're literally being, like, it is quite literally, oh yeah, all the stuff that you guys thought was happening or suspected was happening, or you were told you were crazy because you thought it was happening, it is actually happening. We're still not going to do anything about it. That's probably the most fucking infuriating part about this whole
the apathy
thing. The just absolute, like, the biggest piece, the the thing that made me want to put my fist through a wall and I had to just like, oh my God, was like, well, a lot of these people are like in their 70s already. They're going to be dead soon. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like,
yeah,
that's
that makes
not
it
okay.
okay.
That's that. I don't care. I don't care if they're on death's fucking door. You drag their ass in front of that council and you make them
perp walk.
Like, you make them be like, okay, like, here's the evidence against you. Here are the charges. This is what's going on. Because holy shit, I don't care if they can pull fucking Nazis out of Brazil when they're 89 years old. They can drag pedos out of their mansions at 73. Fuck
Shit,
it all.
if we can swoop into Venezuela and arrest that guy, we should be able to make arrests on a fucking American soil over evidence that we've had for 20 fucking years.
Yeah, it's infuriating.
Like, people forget that, like, because the Epstein stuff is relatively new to most people.
Yeah,
people like Mike Cernovich and them have been dealing with this and have been screaming from the rooftops about it since 2008 when Epstein very first got his sweetheart deal in Florida. Okay, and nobody knew who Epstein was. Nobody knew Ghislaine Maxwell. Nobody knew Robert Maxwell. That wouldn't become common news until basically Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide, and that became a global meme. And then everybody wanted to know about Epstein. But this whole Epstein thing has been brewing for longer than any of us have even been fucking alive, for the most part, especially you. It's been going on for decades.
Chrissy, do you know Jeffrey Gurian?
Yes, yeah.
This is a funny story. I just told him this at
it
Rodney's
too.
the other day.
Okay.
Somebody told me they went. I like you just said. I had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was. Not a clue. No idea.
There was no reason. They hit it
woke
really
up
well.
in the morning and they said Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and I went. I thought they were talking about Jeffrey Gurian, and I went, "Oh my god!
Oh god!
Why? He seemed so happy." I said, "How did he do it?" He went, "He hung himself in prison."
Like
I went, Jeffrey was in prison.
Sweetest old man.
Which we have to play a game called the Jeffries. Which Jeffrey?
Gurian is like he's like a writer,
very
a comedy,
sweet.
like comes to all the comedy shows. And I went, he seemed so happy. How did he do it? He hung himself in prison. I went, Jeffrey was in prison. I went the entire day fucking thinking that, like,
just upset.
Oh,
like,
no,
man.
How did I not know?
That's adorable.
I had no idea. Oh, so silly.